Good, Marcel. Yeah. Okay, we'll call the regular meeting council for October 10th to order at 3 p.m. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council adopt the agenda for this regular council meeting October 10th as amended to add item 6.2, El Papalote request, and item 6.3, land purchase for town shops.
You have my motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith that an omnibus motion adopts the following in accordance with Council's procedure bylaw, September 25th, regular council meeting minutes as presented and the strategic priorities chart.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Any public comments on any of the agenda items before we get started? Carol, come forward.
So good afternoon, Mayor and Council, and I hope that all of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families. Just for the record, my name is Carol Macmillan, and my last name is spelled capital M-A-C, capital M-I-L-L-A-N, because sometimes I'm mistaken for a Mick and not a Mac. I've got some comments and some questions, and normally, like when I've come before, I've kind of put them all together, but I'm going to just go individually just so I can jot notes. I'm speaking to strategic priority item, the pool, and just feel like this is super loud, so sorry. So I'm just going to start by speaking that the fact that Mayor Snodgrass on September 29th, you posted on your social media Facebook page about a pool update. And it was just in the comments thread that I noticed you responded to a person's query about, this person was asking that we wouldn't be having the change room discussion if the referendum hadn't been overturned. And so your quote is, "The referendum got railroaded by a number of interests for their own benefit. Also, having a referendum during an election was a very bad idea due to a multitude of other issues coming into play. At the end of the day, you elect a council whose job it is to make these decisions. 4 new councillors were elected, and once they were up to speed on the project, council unanimously voted to move forward." So my first question is, what were the interests that railroaded the referendum?
I'm not going to call anybody out in this community. I'm not going to do that, Carol. You know that as well as I do.
I wasn't meaning specific, but I guess I'm confused about how it was railroaded.
I'm not going to call anybody out in this town as an individual in this town. Those are my opinions on how that referendum went, and I'm not going to, not going to call out individuals in this town and start that.
That wasn't really what I was meaning, but
they were all very vocal during that time, and on Facebook and Rant and Rave and everything. So you can go back there and look at them by yourself. But I am not going to call those people out as individuals in this town.
okay, and I wasn't expecting as individuals, so, okay. So, on that note, though, with your quote, you say having a referendum during an election was a very bad idea.
Yep.
And so this is where I would just like to have a little bit of reflection about my perspective as being part of that council. Even right from 2017, the pool was always an item that was brought up. And even when you look at past councils, the pool has always been an item that it seems to make its way onto council radar. What I recall is that we had very thoughtful conversations about the pool, and also went back and forth because we had conversations regarding about, aren't we fortunate as a population of 14,000 to even have a pool and a rec center? Other options were the fact that some of us possibly weren't thinking about the low entry pool. And I think what it came down to, because I remember when Kirsten was presenting to us, we had asked for the, it was I can't remember if it was ISL, but they had the report, and it was around, I believe, November 25th, 2019, that we came to the conclusion that we needed some public input into this, and not just, we had an open house, but not just that. And then Chris had mentioned that, a referendum would be quite a good way to find out truly what the people want. Because at the time, the budget, I believe, was anywhere between 9 and 12 million at that time with the design that was being explored. And we thought, what a good way. It gives time to prepare an information package. That's the one thing I really respected about administration, is that they provided a thorough information package along with the referendum information. And we all decided, at least in my memory, that a municipal election brings out people to vote. So instead of having a referendum at just a one-off where people might not even know what's happening, it made sense to have the referendum at the same time as the election. So that's my recollection. And I remember that Chris said it was non-binding, and that if council chose to change their mind, that was fine. But I guess here's my next question. What were the multitude of other issues coming into play? Like, to me, that seemed very black and white, that you're going to get a lot of people out to vote.
All the other election issues.
What other
Everything.
election issues?
COVID, top of mind, vaccine mandate, that. There's a multitude of other issues that come into play that influence. I've heard this from people in the community. It wasn't just the pool. That's why I say, like, the referendum, but during an election, yes, we all voted that that's when it was going to happen. It's the first time I've ever done a referendum. I would never do another one during a municipal election when there's everything else that's coming into play during an election. Take the pool out of it, there's still 100 other issues that were discussed through that election. So no, I would not do another referendum during an election. Absolutely not.
Well, and that's your opinion.
Yeah.
So my next point is just kind of thinking about the impact of overturning a referendum that did have 67%. That was a strong result. And I've been giving a lot of thought to this, because you mentioned in your quote on Facebook that you have 4 new councillors. This decision was overturned very early in that new term of 2021. And it doesn't matter which way you voted for the referendum. By overturning it, it kind of established a level of distrust and kind of the attitude that, oh, we have a referendum, so our voices are heard, but it didn't come out with the result you wanted, and so our voices aren't impactful. And I just think that was a rough and rocky way to start as a new council, because it did kind of question the level of trust. Are you here to serve and represent the people? Are you going to listen? Because 67%, it's not like it was 51, 52. I think that's where I'm just shaking my head, Craig.
That's fine. It was a non-binding. You were part of that. We all knew it was non-binding, and if council chose a different direction, our decision-making is to listen to the community, absolutely. But as you are very aware of, Carol, and if any councillor does anything different as a councillor, they are failing as a councillor or the mayor. At the end of the day, you have to listen to everybody. You have to take, that we get everything brought to us. As to what this looks like out here, it all comes in. At the end of the day, your responsibility is one thing, and that is to make the decision that you feel is the best direction for the greater good of the whole community. Not any individual group, not any individual person. That is it. So at the end of the day, with this referendum, you bet I had my opinions, because I was involved in those conversations by those individuals that were absolutely trying to move it their way for their benefit. There's no question. But at the end of the day, I put my hand up every single time for the way I view this is the best direction I feel this community needs to go in. That's what we get elected to do.
I guess,
If you don't trust that, that's okay.
and I know, I mean, we all can have our opinions, right? And that's why I appreciate that I can speak. I guess I'm just putting myself a little bit in the shoes. In 2017, we had a big ticket item right away on our table right away. You talk about 4 new counselors. Technically, I was the only new counselor in 2017 because Counselor Kinghorn had already been on before. But it was the $4.19 million, the land deal for the Southwest Berm. And that was a big deal. Like, I guess I'm just thinking to myself, when you've got these big ticket items, to give some thought and consideration, maybe not overturn things so quickly because of, once again, optics. And when I just think about this as a $15 million item and to be considered 67%,
So
I don't-
I'm not understanding where the berm comes into what.
well,
we're
remember, I'm
saying.
just talking about in October 2017 as a new counselor. Remember, it was the talk about the land expropriation
Yeah.
and then the land deal.
Yeah.
Well, and then that was finalized 6 months later. I guess I'm not making myself clear, is just the fact that that was a pretty big decision
Yeah.
that, and as you put it in your thing, you were getting me up to speed on that as well as Councillor Kinghorn, but it just seemed like, I just think this particular overturning appears to be rather rashly done. But I know, just like when I spoke at budget, I know that the pool is going to get done because you said to me that if it's not now, it's never going to happen. So I understand that. I'm just expressing my concerns about a little bit of the optics here.
Okay, and
Okay.
as you know, and I've always said, I do not make my decisions based on the optics of somebody's not gonna like it. I know damn well that every time we make a decision, regardless of which way it goes for you, I know somebody's not gonna like it. We make decisions based on how we are elected to put our hand up and vote with integrity for the best direction forward for the greater good of the whole community. Not because somebody's in the mic angry at me. Doesn't.
Well, I'm not angry.
I know, I'm not speaking to you, but you've been in this council chambers more than enough times, Carol. And the angry show up and they want you to do what they want. And they get very upset when you don't. And that's okay. But that doesn't make my decisions for me.
No, I understand.
Thank you.
So with this kind of, like I said, when I spoke at budget, and basically I know it's very much appearing that the pool is going to go ahead. What I would suggest is that there's a bit of and I know you don't have to take my suggestion, but in order for some financial transparency, I think on the strategic priority sheet by the pool, you may want to consider having the tax implications so people can actually see it. I know it would be projected, but currently the 15 million is the 2022 pricing, right? And things can go up. And also with the fact that everything I know I spoke to this before, that everyone is kind of feeling the pinch. Everything is going up. I just thought, seeing as it's apparent that it's going through, if you had an amount that people could start saving for to budget to know that there will be, because this isn't just one big grant. And even if it was, the grant is still affecting taxpayers. So I just thought that would be kind of a useful thing so that people, embrace the pool idea and they know exactly how much it's going to cost. Just a thought.
No, and that's fair. And once we're done we're just finishing up the current design. And once we have that design finalized, then we can bring the budget number in. But the goal is to absolutely stick within that $15 million budget.
Well, and one has to hope, right? I'm just saying with inflation. So,
It's construction,
yeah,
right?
but I would like to see it in real human dollars so people can,
And that's fair. That's how we presented it during the referendum too. It was all,
Oh, I know.
this is your monthly thing. So if that number changes, goes up or down, then we will,
okay?
It's easy.
All right, and then just thinking about why are the committee of the whole meetings, I know they're downstairs, but why are they not live streamed? Is it because you can't do the tech downstairs in LO4?
Yeah, no, the technology's set up here. But
Right.
yeah, like in the committee of the whole meetings, no decisions are made in committee of the whole meetings. They're loose conversations with the public and delegations happen and everything else, and the public is more than welcome to attend any of those. But no, we don't put the resources in to live stream those ones. All the decisions is why we live stream.
Well, and that's
Regular council.
kind of one of my suggestions again, because when we were Zooming, we were recording obviously both. And also just for, I know I don't like the word optics, but I heard this feedback a lot when I was on council even, because we have those wonderful casual conversations where it's our actual having new topics brought up, kind of feeling the situation out. And then sometimes things will be immediately even put onto that day's council agenda, other times a future one. But what can happen is the public perceives that we aren't conversing, that we're not having those engaged conversations, and instead it kind of appears like rubber stamping. And I just think, you know what? You had committee of the whole upstairs 2 weeks ago with the, you know, why couldn't committee of the whole be up here on a regular basis? Because you've got the chambers booked for council anyway. I don't think county, I'm not sure if they use it on a Monday at 1.
No, they don't. It's just a choice that council's made, that we're not gonna live stream committee of the whole, and we're gonna take them downstairs, because downstairs provides a different environment, as you know, that it's not so official and everything else that council chambers is. So that's the decision we've made, is that it's just a little more relaxed, less intimidating environment, that when we have kids coming to present on some issue or something. It's intimidating, I'm sorry, to sit there if you're not used to it like you are.
Oh, it's intimidating for me.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
So-
why we do committee of the whole downstairs, is just to lighten it up a little bit. And we don't live stream it just because we don't live stream it.
Well,
We've made the choice not to.
I get it somewhat, but I don't know. I think it's kind of nice to have that
Yeah, and
so
council-
people can understand.
And we can reconsider that at any point in time. Councillor can bring that forward.
Okay. And then just finally, and thank you for your time, I just was curious what the rationale for council's decision to have two police officers that were stationed at that door at the committee of the whole meeting. Because all I saw on the agenda was Habitat for Humanity, the four-way stop at Northwest, and then the change rooms. I didn't see any policing issues on the agenda, so I just wondered what was the rationale to have police at the door?
Yeah, I don't know that they were requested. They were here. I noticed them that they were here. I don't know if it was because they knew there was gonna be protesting because of the agenda item that was on there.
But there wasn't any protesters.
Well, there was, because the one lady came in with a big board on her. Yeah, there was. Absolutely.
Isn't that just kind of freedom of expression? Like, I was
Nobody
here, I
kicked
didn't
her-
see her wandering around like,
Absolutely.
I just wondered
Nobody
because I
kicked
didn't
her
think,
out. She came right into council chambers. She was free to do as she wished.
I
don't
just
know.
wasn't sure if this was a common thing. Like, I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, I don't know. They were here. I don't,
There's no request from council for them to attend, and sometimes, as you know, Chief Deputy and some of his people show, so I'm not quite sure if there was something that they were talking off camera with them, that's why they were here. We're not aware of why they were here, it wasn't a request from us to have them here present at that day, if
Okay.
that answers it better.
No, it does, because I was just really confused. So, okay. Well, thank you, and that's all of my questions.
thanks, Carol. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move into item 5.1, municipal election bylaw changes. Jody?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a municipal election bylaw amendment. It is minor in nature. However, just to give a little bit of context as to why we were looking at this bylaw, back in 2021, when we had the municipal election, there was some discussion as to whether the town should move to a electors list. And after looking into it, we decided that in order to be able to develop and then maintain an electors registry would be quite cumbersome. So we are not recommending that we move forward in that direction. However, when we were looking at the provincial legislation and the Local Authorities Election Act, we wanted to make an amendment to remove a permanent resident identification card from the list of authorized elector identification requirements so that it lines up with the provincial legislation. So before you is an amendment to remove the permanent resident identification card from the Schedule D attached to the municipal election bylaw, and just the reasoning behind that. Does council have any questions or comments that I can answer?
Housekeeping issue, correct? Okay. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council give first reading to bylaw 4616-2023, being the municipal election bylaw, to approve and edit the authorized elector identification requirements under Schedule D to remove a permanent resident identification card, which aligns with Section 4.7, subsection 1 of the Local Authorities Election Act, and that council give second reading to the previously mentioned bylaw, and that council give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of the previously mentioned bylaw.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. No further discussion. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4616-2023, being the municipal election bylaw.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have my motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion that council rescind the following bylaws from Councillor Barton. 4696-2021, the amending municipal election bylaw, and 4514-2017, the municipal election bylaw.
You have my motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Harbor Regional Airport, Chris.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. This motion that's council's going to consider today is to continue moving down the path to remove ourselves from the ownership and structure of the High River Library Board. The motion that's before you today is to resolve to both transfer our shares as well as any rights to any land that we may be entitled to back to the county, and so the county can assume full operations of the High River Regional Library Airport.
Rid of that. Any questions from council? I think this is a very good move for the town to. Anybody? Councillor Kinghorn? Dream come true today? Yeah, it's just getting too convoluted between the owners and the two levels of government, two different municipalities that are involved. So ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that council approve the transfer of the town's ownership, share, and any interest in land to Foothills County, with the costs associated with the transfer being covered by the town.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. CVAC item, Chris?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass, and I apologize, this was a late item and I had missed preparing this report for this agenda. CVAC met at the end of September and reviewed one application that requires endorsement by council. As you recall, the policy reads very clearly that anything above $2,000 requires council approval from CVAC, and CVAC has recommended that El Paplote be provided with $5,000 of their funding to continue hosting the Day of the Dead Festival at the end of October into November. This will leave the CVAC committee with about $13,000 in change for the remainder of the year, out of their original allocation of $41,000 that council allocated. And that's the recommendation that's before council this afternoon.
Counselor Kinghorn?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. To Chris Prosser, did I hear you say this has been approved by CVAC? Their support of this motion?
That's correct. They've adopted the recommendation to support at $5,000.
No further questions? Counselor Nychuk?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Just to refresh my memory, this item came to council last year, and it was the same amount that we did last year, was it not? Or am I confusing myself?
No, last year was $10,000 that was awarded.
Thank you.
Counselor Walsh?
One moment while I figure the microphone out, sorry. Is it still the same parameters with CVAC that this is intended for startup initiative and not an ongoing annual support?
Through the Councillor Walsh, that's correct. And that was the discussion that CVAC had at the table, was
Okay.
that this had been year 3 that this group had come forward. And so that was the rationale for reducing it and continue to reducing that moving forward as well.
Thank you.
No further questions? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council award $5,000 to El Papalote to coordinate the Day of the Dead Festival, High River 2023.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item 6.3, land purchase.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Following up on our discussion earlier, we have found a property that may be appropriate for a public workshop that recently came available. The price is $870,000 and it's located on 112th on the east side of town. We have been searching for a property in about the 16 to 20 acre area for almost a year now, with only one that's been readily available that's not a great shape or conducive to what we want to see for our public works yard. So this property came available. It allows us to continue looking, but also at the same time secure a potential property while we do some site planning and understand how our public works operations will be better relocated in that location. So the recommendation that's before you today is to authorize the purchase of $870,000 towards the address. I can't remember the address. It's a long address, but on 112th Avenue or Street, and continue with our due diligence with a closing date of November 15th. Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass.
Questions from council? Councillor Kinghorn?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. In light of some of the previous comments that we had presented today, this has been analyzed as fair market value. Is it a good price? What does our realtor tell us?
So in conversations with our realtor that had been doing some search for us, anything under $100,000 per acre was a good price. And so we're in the ballpark of about just over $54,000 an acre for this subject property. And so we feel that this is a good price to acquire this property and hold it for future public workshop.
That along with the limited availability of usable land for this purpose is a challenge as well. No further questions from council? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council authorize administration to proceed with the acquisition of lands described as 498118 112th Street with a legal land description of Plan 708LK Block 5 for $870,000 to support future planning.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Councillor reports, anyone? Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I would just like to advise that Councillor Jones and I attended the Alberta Municipalities Convention in Edmonton last week, and the town of High River staff are to be commended for our assistance that we provided to other municipalities this year during the wildfire events, particularly in Edson, Fox Creek, were the two municipalities that we heard from. But I certainly had the opportunity to converse with a few and municipalities that were very, very grateful for all of the support and experience that we were able to provide to them. It was a wonderful opportunity to listen and learn and connect with other towns and learn what other people are doing and some best practices and some new initiatives. So look forward to taking some of that information and bringing it forward in due course.
Thanks, Kelly. Anyone else? See none, hear none. Board and committee reports. Final round for public comments. Anybody? See none, hear none. Council correspondence requiring action. Item 10.1, Notre Dame Collegiate 2A Boys Volleyball Grant in Aid application. Jody? Or is it pretty simple? That was the best look
It's
ever.
pretty simple. I'm not prepared to
Hey, Lonnie.
speak to this item. NDC has requested support for the provincial volleyball tournament for their, is it senior boys?
2A, whatever that is.
So as
That'll do.
mentioned, okay, perfect.
That's all we need. Ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council authorize administration to provide a grant in aid in the amount of $1,000 to Notre Dame Collegiate for the 2023 2A Boys Volleyball Provincial Championships taking place November 22nd to 25th, 2023.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Good. All in favor? Carried. Letter of support for the Network Steering Committee. Who can speak to this, to say what it actually is? Kelly? Are you best too? I know I'm grabbing people left and right. This,
I can try.
someone?
Sure. Well, it's a letter requesting support for a new youth mental wellness center to be centered in the foothills. There are, to my knowledge, the better part of 30 agencies who are coming together to support this alongside the two main school divisions that support our communities. It is a shared vision of building an integrated child and youth center with a mental health focus and a hub in the foothills region. So it would support not only High River youth, but basically my understanding is from Diamond Valley to Vulcan and from Claresholm to De Winton. So it is certainly something that I think that is needed and would be of benefit for us to lend our support and some resources towards.
I picked the right person, didn't I? Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much, Kelly. Ask for a motion from Councillor Smith that council supports the letter from the Network Steering Committee to the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions in their request for a new youth mental wellness center to be built in the Foothills region.
I'll happily give you that, motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Nychuk?
Thank you. Just before we go ahead and vote on that, I'd like to make an amendment to what they're suggesting in there. They took, in the highlighted blue italics portion, it talks about the following key stakeholders are supportive of this project, and then it goes on to say the mayors of Okotoks, Diamond Valley, High River, Riva County. I would suggest that that letter is written that the councils of, as a mayor, you singularly have one vote. There's an entire council that's sitting here as there is in those other municipalities, and I think it's not it could be better written that it comes from the councils of all those municipalities. Just a suggestion on my part.
Make note of that, because you're absolutely right. Mayors don't make decisions. So. Thanks for that, Michael. Motion forward by Councillor Smith with the friendly addition from Councillor Nychuk. All in favor? Carried. Council's correspondence for information, correspondence on Rimrock Tidewater, correspondence regarding the aquatic expansion, correspondence regarding High Country Drive, and thank you letter from the High River District Healthcare Foundation. So with that, I will ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that council recess a regular council meeting October 10th, 2023 at 3:35 and move into a closed meeting at this time.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have my motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.